Hello, my name is Hans George Campbell. Welcome to my podcast for November 2025. In today's podcast, I'm going to talk about what men need to know about women, especially about today's modern women. So let's get started. All right. First of all, for you women out there that may be listening to this podcast, I want to make it perfectly clear that I do not hate women. In fact, I have always found women fascinating. I have been studying girls since I was a little boy. And even to this day, I still find women absolutely fascinating. I love going out to like a public place, like a restaurant or a park or something like that, where women like to meet. And I would just sit there and watch watch women, and listen to what they're saying, because I find women so fascinating. And you're so beautiful, And it is true that a woman is a man's weakness. Women are men's weakness. That's very true. So yeah, before I get going on this podcast, I want to make it perfectly clear to my female audience that I do not hate women. Okay? So let's get started. All right. I've actually been watching quite a few videos on YouTube about modern women hating men and saying that they don't need men, and men are useless, and the attitude of today's young women, in fact all women for that matter today, is not a very good attitude, especially if you're looking for, you're expecting a man to approach you and ask you out on a date. You can't be saying things like that, like you hate men, you don't need men. You just got to stop saying stuff like that. Okay? So, after watching a lot of these videos, I felt that it's time that I need to create a video and talk about some things. There's a lot of misinformation going around on the internet. I want to clear these things up. I have been studying, like I said in the introduction, I have been studying the opposite sex since I was a little boy. I've always found girls fascinating. And so I'm probably one of the only men in the entire world that actually knows everything there is to know about women. What actually makes them tick. Okay? Men are smarter than women. This has been scientifically proven many times. Men are are also smarter than women. This too has been proven many times. Okay? So no amount of arguing, no amount of being triggered or hurt feelings is going to change these facts. Men are indeed smarter than women and stronger than women. That's just the way it is. And another thing you women like to say in your videos is that you don't need men. And this is so untrue. Because Everything that has been invented and created in this world was done so by men. And most of those men, I'd say at least 90% of them, were white men. So basically, this whole world was created by white men. And yet, society is hating men, especially white men. This is so stupid. You know, I mean, you women that are saying that you don't need men, you're a dumbass. You really are. Because women would not be able to survive if there were no men. You wouldn't. You would not be able to survive. Because men are the ones that keeps the world running. I mean, we built this world that women use and abuse. We built everything. You know? Okay. One thing that women need to understand: you are not equal to men. Yes, you heard that right. Okay? Adam was created first. I'm going to tell you what the Bible says, for those of you that claim to be Christian women. Okay, I'm going to tell you what the Bible says, because I've studied the Bible many times from cover to cover. And this is what the Bible has to say about this subject. Adam was created first, and then Eve. Man was not created for the woman, but the woman was created for the man. Men were made in the image of God, and women were made in the image of man. Okay, this sets a hierarchy. You have God, you have men, you have women, you have the animals. It's like a ladder. And as long as everyone stays on their rung of the ladder, we have peace and harmony. Okay? It's when women try to get onto the same rung of the ladder that men are on, that's when we have a problem. Okay? Women are beneath men. That's just the way it is. Men are superior. That's just the way it is. Okay? We're smarter. We're stronger. We built this whole world that women use and abuse. Okay? So women need to learn to have some respect for men. And just because men are superior to women does not mean that they should abuse women or, hit them or mistreat them. For instance, a man is superior to a dog. Does that mean that this man, mistreats his dog or beats up his dog or whatever? No. We love our dogs. And just like men love we love our women. And we take care of our women. And this is the main reason why that it's socially correct for a man to take care of his woman. Because he is her superior. He's in charge. He's the boss. He's the king of the castle. And that's the way it should be. Okay? In the old days, boys were taught by their father or their grandfather or their older brother on what was expected of them when they reached manhood. They had certain responsibilities. They had to get a job, they got married, they had children, and they provided for their family. And women did not work. They stayed at home. I mean, they worked, but their type of work, they bore the children. They had children. And they took care of the children. They took care of the home. They cleaned. They did the laundry. They made the food, made sure that there was food on the table for when their husband got home. And this is what women did. And it's a very important job, just as important as what men did to make the money to provide, for his family. So each, men and women, they have their own roles that they played in society. And this has been going on for thousands of years. And it works. It works. Marriage was actually necessary because it was the men that took care of their women. Men took care of women and the children. So marriage was actually necessary. Okay? And you were married in a church in the presence of witnesses and in the presence of God. This is the way it's supposed to be. And you took wedding vows. You're not supposed to take marriage lightly. It's a very serious thing. Okay? But after the 60s, starting with the women's movement, feminism, women's liberation, things like that, women entered into the workforce and they started working, they started making their own money, and today, women are claiming that they don't need a man anymore, they're successful, they're well educated. By the way, just because you're well educated does not necessarily mean that you are smart. Okay? Keep that in mind. And we'll get into that a little bit later. So today, marriage is no longer needed because men are basically no longer taking care of their woman. Okay? And women are basically taking care of themselves and their children. So marriage is an outdated concept. It's no longer needed or required. And this is why I tell all of you young men out there, never get married. There's nothing in it for you. There's no incentive for a man to get married. Just don't do it. There's a high risk involved. Marriage make no mistake about it, marriage is a business contract. It's a legally binding business contract. Okay? And women are the only ones that really benefit from marriage and eventually, divorce. Men do not benefit from marriage or divorce. So just don't do it. All you young men out there, listen to what I'm telling you. Okay? Get yourself a pad of paper, get a pen, take notes if you have to. Because what you're going to be hearing in this podcast is probably the most important thing you'll ever hear in your entire life. Okay? Now, there are certain rules if you're a man. Okay? Rule number 1, never trust a woman. I don't care who she is. Your mother, your grandmother, your sister, your daughter, your cousin. Never trust a woman. Don't do it. Okay? The reason for this is because women are emotional creatures. They are governed by their emotions, which can change from one minute to the next. Okay? Whereas men, we are governed by our intellect. We are reasoning creatures. And this is the main reason why the Bible itself says that a woman should never usurp authority over a man, ever. In other words, women should never be placed in positions of authority where they're going to be telling men what to do or what not to do. This is disrespectful to men. And yet we have all kinds of women bosses today doing just that. Telling men what to do and bossing men around. This is very disrespectful to men. Okay? Just don't do it. Women are not supposed to tell men what to do. Okay? Men are the ones that are supposed to be the leaders of society, not women. That's just the way it is. This is the way it's supposed to be. Okay? So, yeah. Women have been the downfall of great men throughout history. Always remember, never forget the story of Samson and Delilah. Never forget that story. It too is in the Bible. It's a biblical story. I'm not a religious person, but there are a lot of good things in the Bible. I enjoyed reading it. There's a lot of wisdom in that book, especially in Proverbs. And also the wonderful stories that you can find in the Bible, you know. Another thing that it says is that a woman is not supposed to, okay, when a man or woman is in public and a man is speaking, a woman should never correct him in public. If she thinks that he says something wrong or does something wrong, a woman should never correct the man in public, especially if that man is her husband. She should instead keep her mouth closed, wait till they get home, and then talk to her husband in a respectful, diplomatic way. This is the way it's supposed to be done. Okay? Women, well, today's women, today's modern women, they are failing miserably at what they are supposed to be doing. Women are not supposed to be out in the workforce. They're supposed to get married, okay, and stay married to that man for the rest of their lives, you know, and have children and raise those children, take care of their children, take care of the home. That's what a woman's supposed to do. And men, you're failing miserably too, because your job is to get a job and make the money and provide for your family. And many men today are failing at that miserably. But it's not really the fault of the men. It's the fault of the women because of the way today's women are acting. Men no longer feel like it's necessary to get married or to provide for a woman and children because men are mistreated, they're not respected, and so I can see why many men have just stopped caring, you know. But today's women, you're failing miserably because a lot of you care more about your career than you do your own children. Yes, you heard that right. Today's women care more about their career than they do their own children. And this is wrong. I mean, you drop your kids off at a daycare center, okay, for 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, and basically strangers are raising your children, not you. Strangers are raising your children while you're working your career. And then you wonder why. You know, mothers wonder why their children grow up hating their guts. Gee, I wonder why. Well, I had to go out and get a job. No, you didn't. What you had to do is find yourself a good man, marry that man, and make him a good home. Bear him some children, take care of those children, take care of the home. That's what you had to do. That's what you're supposed to do. But you women today are failing miserably. You're failing. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. And this is one of the main reasons why most women today are depressed and they have to see a therapist. You ever wonder why that is? We'll get more into this as we go on. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. That's why you're depressed. This is one of the reasons why. But as I said before, if you're a man, there are certain rules that you must go by. Rule number 1 is so important, it's rule number 1. Never trust a woman. Ever. I don't care who she is. Do not trust a woman. Rule number 2, do not trust a person, not just women, but men too. Never trust a person that smiles all the time. I'm sure you've seen them. I'm sure you've met these kind of people. They smile all the damn time. These people are usually very manipulative, and they're basically full of shit. They're basically con artists. These people have learned early on that they can get more from people by smiling than with a normal looking face. And this is a form of manipulation, a form of being a con artist. So never trust a person, male or female, never trust a person that smiles all the time. Okay? Just don't do it. Rule number 3, never let a woman know how much money you make or how much money you have. I don't care who she is. Because as soon as she finds out how much money you have or how much money you make, she will do everything in her power to take every last penny away from you. Oh yeah. So just don't do it. So, if you're foolish enough to take a woman out on a date, and we'll get more into that in just a little bit, if you are foolish enough to take a woman out on a date, and she asks you, what do you do for a living, or what is your job, this is how you should answer that question. Well, I prefer to keep that private, because what I do for a living or how much money I make, that has nothing to do with me getting to know you. And that's what dating is all about. Because one of the first questions that a woman will ask a man on a date is she'll try to find out what kind of work he does, how much money he makes. Okay? That's one of the first things. You'll always hear that early on in the date. And my advice to you, do not tell her. Keep that information private. And if she pitches a fit about that, well, why? Why won't you tell me? How can you be being so secretive? Get up right then and there and leave. Because money, specifically your money, is what that woman is all about. That's what she's after. Get up and leave. Don't look back. Okay? Because a woman that truly likes a man, and she's actually trying to get to know him, doesn't give a shit about what kind of job you have or how much money you make, because she likes you. She's happy just to be with you, out on a date with you. Okay? That's the kind of woman that you want to keep. Okay? Women like to brag on social media about how well educated they are. And they're having a hard time finding a well-educated man, or a man that's well-educated. That's just a really clever way of saying that they're looking for a man that's got money. Because to their thinking, a man that's well-educated has a good job and makes a lot of money. So whenever you hear a woman say this on social media, that she's looking for a guy that's well-educated, or she can't seem to find a man that's well-educated, that's what she means. She's looking for a man that makes good money. It's all about the money. Never forget that. When you're dealing with women, it's all about the money. Okay? And this is one of the reasons why men should never get married. In fact, men should never even waste their time and money going out on dates. Yes, you heard that right. It's actually better for a man to masturbate. Just spend a few minutes masturbating, bust that nut, you're done. It's actually better to do that than to waste your time and your money going out on dates. And if you don't believe that, think about the last date you went on. Just the last date. How much of your time did you waste on that date? How much of your time did you waste doing what the woman wants to do and listening to her talking? And then think about how much money you wasted, how much money you spent on that last date. Okay? Now, think about all the time and money you've wasted on every date you went out on. And trust me, the more you think about it, the more it's going to piss you off. Oh, yeah. Now, I learned everything I needed to know about women by the time I was 25 years old. Yes, you heard that right. And it didn't take me long to figure out that women were wasting my time and wasting my money. And so when I turned 25 years old, I actually stopped dating. Yes, you heard that right. I stopped dating. And no, I'm not a homosexual. I love women. I adore women. But I got sick and tired of them wasting my time and spending my money. Wasting my money. Okay? I got sick and tired of that. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Never get married. Do not waste your time, with dating. Don't waste your time and money with dating. It's better just to masturbate. Whenever you get horny, just masturbate. Some good porn or whatever. Gentleman's Magazine or whatever. You guys out there, you need to concentrate on yourselves. And no, you're not being selfish. Not really. Concentrate on your job. Concentrate on making that money. Concentrate on buying the things that you want in life. Don't allow a woman to slow you down, because they will. Do not allow a woman to waste your time and to spend your money. Okay? Another thing I keep hearing women say in social media is that they hate broke guys. Well, apparently you women are broke because you're always expecting guys to pay for your drinks. What, are you broke? You can't afford to buy your own drinks? That's what I would tell her. No, I'm not broke. Just because a man refuses to spend his hard-earned money on women does not mean that he's broke. Au contraire. It actually means that he is a very smart man. That's right. A smart man like me will always remain single. Will never get married. I'm approaching 68 years old. Yes, I'm that old, and I've never been married. Now, women will see that as, oh, I'm a loser, or I hate women. No, that's not true. Or no woman will have me. No, that's not true. Trust me when I tell you that. Even at 68 years old, I'm still a good-looking man, and I still turn women's heads. When I have nice clothes on and take a shower, brush my hair or whatever, I still turn heads. I do. Women my own age. So, yeah. And when I was in my prime, oh, yeah, no problem. No problem at all attracting women. And one of my favorite ways of doing that, just for shits and giggles, was I would go to my favorite lounge or a classy bar, and I would take one of my Doom books with me, because I have the paperback novels of Doom, based on the PC game Doom, and they're really good novels. I'd go up to sit at the bar, and ask the bartender, hey, give me a German beer or a glass of brandy or a good glass of Italian wine, and I'd be sipping on my drink and reading my paperback book. I'm talking with a bunch of women sitting in there, right? And I guarantee you, within 15 minutes, one of those women will walk up and sit next to me. Because I tell you something about women. They love a man that reads. Because in general, men don't read. We're too smart for that. We'd much rather watch the movie or see the movie. And this is where women are stupid. They waste their time reading when they can just, it takes days to read a book. But it only takes like an hour and a half to 2 hours to watch the movie. And this is where men are smarter than women. Men would prefer to just wait till the movie comes out and they'll watch the movie. This way they don't waste too much of their time. Okay? So when a man goes into a bar and he's reading a book while casually sipping on his drink, oh yeah, women love that shit. If you want to get a woman real fast, that's one of the ways to do it. Within 15, 20 minutes, I guarantee you a woman will sit next to you at the bar and she'll start talking to you. Well, what kind of book are you reading? What's it about? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Women love men that read. Oh, yeah. And that was one of my ways of doing it, just to see if I could do it, for shits and giggles. It worked every time. I had no problems. Here's another thing. Women are complaining that men are no longer approaching them. Well, why don't you women approach men? Are your legs broke? Why don't you ask, if you see a guy that you like, why don't you ask him out? What, he can't talk? Something wrong with your vocal cords? And here's something else that a lot of people don't realize, especially you men out there. Did you know that women are at least 2 to 3 times more sexual than men are? Yes, you heard that right. Oh yeah. Women have to have it 2 or 3 times more than men do, and you know what I'm talking about. Women are 2 to 3 times more sexual than men are. And if they don't get sex, they will go apeshit. They will go insane. And this is one of the reasons why so many women over 35 are seeing a therapist. Why so many women over 35 are depressed. Because they're not getting enough sex. They're not. That's one of the reasons why. So, since this is true, and it is true, why are men approaching women and asking women out on dates? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't women be approaching men and asking men out on dates? Okay? Why are men chasing women? Shouldn't women be chasing men? Since they are 2 or 3 times more sexual than men are, they have to have it more than men do? Yeah. Yeah. Here's something else you need to know. In today's society, men do not rate. Society actually hates men, especially single men. And we'll get more into that in a moment. If you don't believe that, why is it that every time there's a disaster or something bad is going to happen, it's women and children first into the lifeboats or whatever? See, society don't care if the men live or die, and that's a fact. Men are basically expendable. Men are basically disposable. Why do you think society sends men to war? Not women. Think about that. All you young guys out there, you think about that. Okay? And if you're a man and you intend to stay single for the rest of your life, if you're a smart man like me, you never want to get married, because there's no incentive to get married. There's no incentive. No reason for a man to get married. So if you're smart like me and you choose to remain single your whole life, the longer you stay single, the more society will hate your guts. Especially women. And it'd be a lot harder for you to get a job if you don't already own your own business and you're working for yourself. If you still have to work for other people, you know. The longer you're single, and you're looking for work, the harder it's going to be for you to find a job. Because you usually put on the application single, not divorced. And they can find out how old you are, because you usually also put your date of birth or whatever a lot of times. My advice to you is do not put your marital status. Leave that blank. And if they say something about it, if it's a woman interviewer, she will say something about that because she wants to know. If you put single and you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, you're not going to get that job. Because I've actually heard women say on the radio and on TV that any man that's 40 years old or older and he's never been married, there's something wrong with him. That's right. You will not get the job. So my advice is to either leave that blank and tell the interviewer that you choose to keep that part of your life private, and you are within your right to do so. That has nothing to do with the job that they're hiring you for. Or if you are going to put something, put married with 5 kids to feed or whatever. And trust me, if you put that, they're going to put your application on the top of the hiring list. Not because of you, but because of the woman and those 5 kids. That's what I used to do. Hell, I'd get a job real quick, usually before I even leave the office, the interview office. You have 5 kids to feed? Yeah. I got to get a job because, I don't want them starving. I need to get them some food. They need new clothes for school and all that. Oh, the women interviewers, they fell for this shit hook, line, and sinker. Trust me. Oh, yeah. Now, there was one time I got caught. There was I had a lesbian supervisor. She didn't like me. And so after about a month, it took her a month to find out, she called me into the office and said, hey, I ran a thorough background check on you, and I found out that you're not married. You don't have any children at all. Why did you lie? And I looked at it. I said, well, because if I would have told you the truth, you would have never hired me. She said, yeah, you're right. So you answered your own question. That's why I lied. To get hired, Well, because you lied on the application, I'm going to have to let you go. But that was the only time that I was caught. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think what else to tell you guys. Okay. To all you men out there, did you know that you do not have to give a woman that you're interested in marrying, you do not have to give her an engagement ring? This is so important, I'm going to repeat it. To all you men out there, you do not have to give a woman that you're interested in marrying, you do not have to give her an engagement ring. No, you don't. Before the early 1930s, men did not give women engagement rings to prove their love to them. No. That was a clever ad campaign created by the De Beers brothers in the early 30s. And if you don't know who the De Beers brothers are, they own most of the diamond mines around the world. And they have restricted the flow of those diamonds to create the illusion that diamonds are rare. And no, diamonds are actually not rare. They are not a precious gemstone. Rubies, emeralds, sapphires, amethysts, these are precious gemstones. So if I wanted to give a girl a nice ring, it would have one of these gemstones in it, not a diamond. Diamonds, believe it or not, are actually worthless. They're very common. They're found all over the globe. That's right. Anyway, getting back to the De Beers brothers' clever ad campaign. They came out with this ad campaign in the early 30s that a man does not love his woman unless he is willing to buy her or spend 1 month's salary, at least 1 month's salary, on a diamond ring to give to her. Okay? And then after a while, the De Beers brothers, they didn't think they were making enough money, so they changed the ad campaign to, well, if you want to prove your love to your woman, you have to spend at least 2 months' salary on a diamond ring. No, you don't. For me, all I have to do, if I want to impress a girl that I like, all I have to do is unzip my pants, let my two-handed German whopper flop out, and trust me, she would be greatly impressed, let me tell you. But yeah, you do not have to give a woman that you're interested in an engagement ring. I'm not saying not to. If you want to, that's fine. But is she buying you an engagement ring? No. Then why buy her an engagement ring? You guys need to think with the right head. Most of you are not thinking with the right head. You're letting the wrong head do the thinking for you. Stop it. Okay? Stop giving women expensive rings or engagement rings. Okay? And you women out there, you young women today, you're ridiculous on your what you're looking for in a man. First of all, he's got to be at least 6 feet tall or over 6 feet. He's got to make 5 or 6 figures per year. Well, 6 figures per year. He's got to have a nice house, drive a nice car, have money saved up in the bank account, and all this by the time he's 25 years old. Are you serious? Do you know what the average income, yearly income is? It's less than $60,000 a year. And if you're making that kind of money, you're actually considered doing very well. The average income for the average American's income is just under $60,000. And this is in 2025. So you women out there that are going on these videos, social media and stuff, and you're listing these qualifications for men, the only kind of man that you'll date or go out with, you're out of your fucking mind. Especially you young girls out there in your early to late 20s, you're out of your fucking mind. You're out of your mind. You will never find a man making that kind of money. Ever. It's just not going to happen. And if there was a man, if you did find a man that was making that kind of money, why would he want to date you? Do you actually think that you are all that? With the makeup plastered on, with your tits hanging out, with the tight shorts creeping up your ass. I mean, do you actually think you're all that? Because trust me, to a real man like me, you're nothing. Won't even look at you. Because you got a bad attitude, you think you're all that, you dress like a hoe, and here's one more thing I got to get off my chest. Stop wearing those stupid nose rings. I mean, come on. Also, real men do not like tattoos on a woman. We don't like tattoos. We just don't. Real men, and this is for you men out there, well, you guys that think you're men, you're calling yourselves men, but you're not. You're not a real man. Real men do not have tattoos. They will never mark up their body with such stupid things. Real men do not wear earrings. Okay? A real man knows how to conduct himself in public. Okay? And if you want to get a general idea of what a real man is like, watch these old black and white movies. Jimmy Stewart, that's a real man. Cary Grant, that's a real man. Charlton Heston, that's a real man. Okay? Who else? Clint Eastwood, that's a real man. Clark Gable, that's a real man. Are you starting to get the idea? Do you see any tattoos on these men? No. Do you see any earrings in their ears? No. Do you see them putting up with bullshit from women? No. Why? Because they're real men. That's why. Okay? So, yeah, just stop. I mean, and also, real men do not have long hair. Especially tied back in a ponytail. I mean, come on, man. And believe it or not, the Bible even talks about this. Did you know? Well, I mean, this is what the Bible has to say about men and hair. They also talk about women. Men are not supposed to have long hair. They're supposed to actually keep their hair cut. Now, there were some exceptions, but in general, men are supposed to keep their hair cut short. They're not supposed to have long hair. The reason for this is because men are supposed to talk to God or pray to God with their head uncovered. Okay? So you shouldn't even wear a hat when you're praying to God. Okay? Whereas women, they are not supposed to talk to God unless their head is covered. And that's why women have been given their long hair as a natural covering, so that they too can communicate with God respectively. Okay? Men are supposed to have short hair because we were made in the image of God, and women are supposed to have long hair. This is not only out of respect to God, but respect to man. Okay? And today's women are very disrespectful toward men. And that's one of the big reasons why men are not approaching you, and you're having a hard time finding men to go out on a date. Here's something else. Women keep talking about how well educated they are in these videos and social media. Men don't give a damn about how well educated you are. Okay? We don't. In fact, just because you're well, this is what most women fail to understand. Just because you are well educated does not mean that you are actually smart. In fact, most well-educated people that I have met in life turned out to be absolute dumbasses. And, okay, take me for instance. I did go to vocational school, and I got my diploma or certification in electronics, but I never stepped foot in a college. And I never graduated from high school. I got my GED, right? So a lot of women, especially today's women, would consider me stupid or not well educated. Well, you're wrong about that, because I have an IQ of 198, which puts me into the super genius category. In fact, I was watching a video the other night on YouTube. They were interviewing the smartest man on earth. His IQ was 200. That means my IQ is only 2 points below his, making me the second smartest man on earth. And yet, I am not well educated. And I guarantee you, I am smarter than most women, especially women that are well educated. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Okay? Did you know, here's something else. Did you know that most millionaires and billionaires never went to college? Yes, you heard that right. In fact, most of them never even graduated high school, and yet you well-educated cunts are working for them. Their uneducated ass is signing your paychecks each week. That's right. Here's something else you should know. College is a waste of time. Yes, you heard that right. Only losers went to college or go to college, because you're either smart or you're a dumbass. Nothing's going to change that. And smart people, instead of going to college, they went and they started their own business. They created their own business. They work for themselves. They make their own money. Okay? This is what a smart person does. College does not teach you about money. College does not teach you how to start your own business, become your own boss, and make your own money. No. College is set up to teach you how to be a good little paid monkey, a paid step and fetch it, a nice good little paid slave, basically a sheeple, how to work for the man. Even people that go to college to become lawyers and doctors and engineers, as long as you're working for someone else, you're a paid slave. You're a dumbass. And that's the truth behind college. Truly smart people like me, we never went to college, never stepped foot in college. And yet we're smarter than you are. That's right. Something for you well-educated cunts to think about. Okay? Something for you to think about. Here's another thing. You women on social media, you're saying that you're looking for a good man, you can't find a good man. This is because you're not actually looking for a good man. You're looking for a man that is well off. You're looking for a man that's got money. There's a difference. Did you know that in general, good men are actually poor? And a good example of that is Jesus Christ himself, the Son of God. He was actually poor. He was a simple carpenter, making ends meet for his mother, taking care of his mother, and his family, well, his siblings, But he was poor. He was basically poor. And yet, he was the Son of God. You can't get any more good than that. So, don't you ever say that you're looking for a good man, because you're not. You're not looking for a good man. You're looking for a well-off man, a rich man, a man that makes money. So get it right. You're only fooling yourselves. Okay? You're not looking for a good man. If you actually want a good man, then you should be looking for a man that's barely making ends meet. He's struggling to survive. He's basically poor, living from paycheck to paycheck. That's the man you want. Because together, you can make something of your life. And you can become highly successful if you work together to achieve your common goals. This is the way it's supposed to be. Okay? So, yeah. You men out there, don't get married. Marriage is no longer needed. It is an outdated concept. It's no longer needed. So just don't do it. And society wants to shame men by saying that married men live longer than single men. I call bullshit on that. In fact, I call major bullshit on that, because the opposite is actually true. Single men live longer, in fact, a lot longer than married men. Single men live longer than married men. And the reason for this is because the number one cause of death in men is heart attack. That's right. And the number one cause of heart attack is stress. So who do you think has more stress in their life? A married man or a single man? Think about that. You married men out there, you really do not realize the amount of stress that your wife and your children put on you. And this stress will send you to an early grave. And this is the main reason why women in general outlive their husbands. But they do not necessarily outlive single men. Okay? There's no reason why a single man cannot live just as long as any woman, as long as they do not abuse alcohol or drugs. A single man can live just as long as any woman. That's right. And see, society, like I said, society hates single men. Okay, especially female employers. When they see a man in his late 30s, 40s, 50s applying for a job, and he's single, he's never been married, they immediately hate his guts, because they know he's spending every last dollar he earns on himself, not some cunt and her brats. And they don't like that. They want a man to work his fucking ass off every week and give his money to some woman and her brats. That's what they want you to do. No. My advice to you men out there, don't do it. I mean, think about it. Women have said they're equal to men, right? They don't need no man, right? Women don't need men, right? You hear that all the time in social media. They can do it all themselves, so don't marry them. Why should you marry them? They're just going to turn around and divorce you take half your shit. You'll have to pay alimony. And if there's children involved, you have to pay child support. Is it worth it? Fuck no. Remember what I said about using the wrong head? Don't do it. Use your brain. Let it do the thinking for you. Talk to other men. Listen to their horror stories, their divorce horror stories, and learn from those stories. Okay? Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, well, father of mgtow, you can't help but notice why. He's got father of mgtow underneath his picture. Is he the father of mgtow? The answer to that question is yes. I actually started the mgtow men's movement over 30 years ago. I used to take the bus to and from work every day. I worked in the electronics industry. And here in Beaverton, Oregon, and Portland, Oregon, we have excellent public transportation. And instead of taking my car, I actually preferred to take the bus or the Max to and from work. And while I was taking the bus and the Max every day, I got a chance to talk to a lot of men and women. Not just men, but also women, you know. But I talked to a lot of men. I taught a lot of men about women and the dangers of women, because women are dangerous to men. They really are, especially today's modern women. And apparently, what I taught the guys on the bus, they took that information with them to other cities, other states, and they told other guys what I said to them. And it spread like wildfire. And eventually it spread around the world. 30 years later, it's all over the world. MGTOW is one of the biggest men's movements in the world. Now, back then, it was not called MGTOW. I didn't call it anything. I just thought that, I got sick and tired of all these women's movements. It was time for men to have a men's movement. And so I started one. And eventually, people called it MGTOW, men going their own way. Well, my teachings became so popular here in the United States that Tom Likas down in California, he caught wind of it. And he was out in public having his coffee or whatever. He was listening to these two guys talking. And then he decided, well, okay, this would be a good thing to talk about on my radio talk show. So he started his Likas 101, where he's teaching guys, basically repeating what I said. Now, I don't mind him doing that. I didn't mind it. I don't mind you guys using my material as long as you're willing to get the message out there. That's fine. That's all I ask. I'm not trying to make any money or anything off of this. I'm just trying to teach you guys out there about women. You need to protect yourself because they're dangerous. Here's something else you need to think about. In fact, you should write this down. Women are the most selfish, self-centered creatures on the planet. And if you don't believe that, it's true. This started way back with Adam and Eve. Yes, that far back. The man, Adam, was willing to do what God told him to do. Do not eat from that tree. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. And Adam was willing to do that. But it was Eve that disobeyed God and said, well, who in the hell does he think he is? If I want to eat from that tree, I will. So she walked up there and she grabbed one of those apples and ate it. And she gave one to her husband. Because remember what I said? A woman is a man's weakness. See, even though Adam was not willing to disobey God, he was willing to listen to his wife. And his wife gave him the fruit from that tree. Probably tricked him. He probably didn't know where that fruit came from. Because there was lots of other fruit trees in the Garden of Eden. I'm sure about that. So Eve probably tricked him into eating that apple. He didn't know where it came from, but that doesn't matter. Adam did what God told him not to do. And so both of them were kicked out of Eden. They were kicked from Eden. And it's been a turmoil between men and women ever since. Okay? Remember, men are reasoning creatures. We are driven by our intellect, whereas women are emotional creatures. They are driven by their emotions. Okay? And this is one of the main reasons why women should never be put into positions of authority. Ever. Women should never rule over men. Ever. And that means a woman president. No. We don't need a female president, messing up the United States of America. No. But yeah, I'm very proud of what has become of my teachings. And so, yes, I am the father of mgtow. I started that men's movement over 30 years ago. And apparently 2 black guys today, recently, they started the drizzle movement, which I find hilarious. It's just so funny, the drizzle movement. And that started because of this stupid black woman, her and her big mouth. She tried to start the sprinkle women's movement, and that backfired. Because right after she did that stupid shit, these 2 black guys started the drizzle movement. Oh my God. I never laughed so hard in my life listening to these people. Oh my God, it's so funny. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys out there have learned something. I hope you took notes, because believe it or not, this is the most important video you'll ever watch, the most important podcast you'll ever listen to, because you need to know about women. You really do. And most of you guys out there, especially you young men out there, you don't know anything about women. And that's dangerous. Okay? Anyway, that's it for this video. Stay tuned for my next podcast, which will be coming up within the next month or 2. Anyway, my name is Hans George Campbell, and until next time.